Hello, everyone, and welcome to our launch of the global campaign to support Peace Boat. My name is Emily McGlone, and I work as the director of Peace Boat US, the international partner of Peace Boat based in New York City. We're here today to talk about our fundraising campaign, which we're so excited to launch today with all of our partners around the world who've been supporting Peace Boat for more than 37 years, as we've been sailing the globe, supporting peace and sustainability. Today, we also have super important guest speakers with us to join this campaign. We have Ann Wright, a peace activist and guest speaker who's been on Peace Boat many times. And we have the founder and director of Peace Boat, Mr. Yoshioka Tatsuya. So very excited to introduce this program for you all today. And we'd like to start with a little bit of showing a little bit more about our crowdfunding campaign. So we're going to bring up some slides for you all. If you can see here, we're just pulling up the Support Peace Boat campaign. This is going to be one of our biggest challenges yet. We all know that during this global pandemic, it's been hard for organizations and individuals alike. And Peace Boat is working hard to maintain our organization and continue our work for peace and sustainable development. We've created this crowdfunding campaign to be able to collect messages of support and also to reach our incredible goal of raising $1 million for Peace Boat to be able to continue our work. During this time, we've been facing unprecedented challenges as an organization that depends on the income of our Global Voyages to be able to organize our advocacy campaigns and work for peace and sustainability. We've been greatly affected by the pandemic, and therefore we really are relying on the support of all of our partners and friends who've traveled with Peace Boat, who've worked with us in the ports of call. And you can see here we have many messages from some of our students who have been on board, from our youth scholars, staff members who've worked with Peace Boat, and many different supporters of guest speakers and those who've been on board. So we hope that you will join us in this crowdfunding campaign. It's really going to take all of our effort to be able to make it a success. We hope that you will visit our campaign page and learn a little bit more about Peace Boat's history and also all the partners that we have who are really supporting our work. And without partners, Peace Boat would not be able to organize our Global Voyages. So we're really thankful for everyone who's already donated and also for all the inspiring messages of support from special guests. So this is our page, and we also have a social media campaign going on right now. So you can donate here on our crowdfunding page of GoFundMe, but you can also donate online in our social media campaigns via Facebook or directly through the Peace Boat website. And we look forward to making this campaign a success with all of you. And next, I would like to explain just a little bit about what Peace Boat does as an organization. As I mentioned, we have more than 37 years of history as a nonprofit organization. Peace Boat is an international NGO, also working for peace and sustainability as kind of a social business based in Japan and nonprofit with our activities that take place all around the world. We're a civil society organization that focuses on sustainable development, human rights, and respect for the environment through our educational programs. And we use the ship that is a neutral mobile space. It really enables people-to-people dialogue across borders and across the oceans. So with that, I would like to introduce a short video that is going to show a little bit more about Peace Boat's work, especially focused on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Well, I hope everyone was inspired by that short video showing Peace Boat's work for sustainable development. We have so many different programs around the world as Peace Boat visits more than 100 ports of call every year, working with local communities and promoting sustainability. And we're just so thankful for all of our partners for supporting us today with our crowdfunding campaign and for being a continued part of all of our projects. And Peace Boat started in 1983. And today we have the founder and director, Yoshioka Tatsuya, who's going to be joining us to give a welcome message and share with you a little bit about the history, past to present, on Peace Boat. Yoshioka, welcome.
Hi. Yeah. Hi.
It's so great to have you here. We're calling in right now from New York City all the way to Tokyo, where the Peace Boat headquarters is. And just welcome to the show. And we'd love to hear a little bit about why you're so excited about this next stage of Peace Boat.
Oh yeah, that's of course. And now the worldwide the COVID situation is terrible, right? So but I'm really feeling that is our 37 years experience that through this peace voyage is really can create something to overcome overcome this terrible situation. I think because in our very basic and most the fundamental part of the value of the activities is the networking and the peoples. So we built that network worldwide in 37 years, right? So but this time is really all of the people in the world that are facing that difficulties. So we would like to be together to overcome. So we have started this campaign to introduce our activity, but at the same time to cooperate each other and to make a better the world through this overcome that the COVID situation.
Absolutely. And you've been such an inspiration throughout this entire 37-year history, leading Peace Boat across the oceans and doing so many international projects. So thank you so much for being with us today. We wanted to go ahead and show some of the photos that we have from Peace Boat's history. Also starting with speaking of the United Nations partnerships and how Peace Boat is related to peace education, we have here a photo of Yoshioka speaking at the United Nations headquarters. That's where our US office is located in the UN Plaza in New York. And tell us a little bit about this photo.
Oh yeah, this one is the 2005. We organized the Global Conflict Prevention conference, supported by the Kofi Annan. And because that is from 1990s that worldwide that the conflict is cannot resolve after the conflict starts. So that's why that the conflict prevention is one of the main issue of the international society to achieve the peace. So this organization, actually that is a global network, the GPAC, and the Global Partnership for Prevention of Armed Conflict. They organize this the UN conference together, supported by the Kofi Annan. And I think more than 2,000 the civil society, the peace builders, the gathering there, and we really make one of the important step for the peace building. And still now that we are working together so hard about the old conflict in the world.
Thank you. I know it's so important. I really appreciate how Peace Boat is a vehicle for bringing the message of the United Nations to civil society and vice versa, bringing the voice of civil society into the United Nations and building those partnerships. So thank you for that. And that brings us also to the core of Peace Boat's values. It's really a civil society organization. And on our next slide, we're talking about peace education. This is how Peace Boat started. When you were a university student back in 1983, how did you come up with this idea to use the ship for peace education and to bring guest speakers on board or professors to share their knowledge and expertise with young people who are traveling?
Yeah, really, to be honest, I'm not completely any kind of the image about the ship at that time. And just I'm quite, fearless student. And but we understand that still Cold War time. So, we are worried about that. The war will happen again. And because you know that as a Japanese, we learned a lot about that Japanese invasion to the other Asian country. And on the other hand, that is Hiroshima, Nagasaki. And anyway, I really would like to, repeat again such kind of the tragic history in Asia or in the world. So anyway, I was young. Still, I'm young, but at that time more young, younger. So, and I really would like to connect with the neighborhood and worldwide. And at that time, the ship was cheaper than an airplane ticket. So, and one of the reason is really this venue. That's why I didn't know that this ship itself is such wonderful the vehicle to create a networking. And just by chance that we got the charter ship, the very small one. This is a smaller than now, but anyway, I was so surprised that wow, that the voyage by passenger ship create a lot of the potential to make people's network on board, and through the experience, that's a big discovery in my life, I think.
It's amazing. I mean, myself, I've traveled 6 times around the world on Peace Boat with you. Oh, yeah. And, this ship is the first ship that you used in 1983. I can only imagine the excitement of all the young people going on board, meeting guest speakers, traveling to new countries, and just how much learning and education actually takes place on board. We often say that, 3 months around the world on Peace Boat is like 3 years at university, because you just learn so much firsthand. So really what we call experiential learning, right? So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a very important point. That of course, in the peace education is our core, the role, and but the one of the most important points, peace education through the experience, actual experience. That is that make change of the young people's life.
Exactly, it does. It's very life-changing for sure. And the next photo we have is another ship. Peace Boat has been through various ships in its history. And I feel like every time that the ship changes is because Peace Boat is growing. More people are coming on board, and the ship needs to get a little bit bigger or to fit more programs, more youth. Tell us about this ship, and this photo is sailing in London.
Yeah, this ship is actually this is the London Tower Bridge. So, and this is open the gate, and it was a so excited memory for me. But this ship is the first ship we could paint that the name of Peace Boat. It was a dream for us. Beforehand, we couldn't do that. The ship owners never allow about that. But that time is the first time we achieved to convince that the ship owner to paint the Peace Boat. And I'm so proud of that, because that is only one ship in the world to appeal about the peace to the world, right? So yes. I think no ship in the world that this is the Peace Voyage itself is a peace demonstration on the ocean. That is the first time we achieved. So that's why for me so memorial the ship, and I put that my daughter's name of this ship name, Olivia.
Nice. Yes, I've heard so much about the Olivia. It was just a bit before my time at Peace Boat. I joined in 2004, so I was on another ship already when I joined Peace Boat. But it's amazing to see the history and how Peace Boat began. And I think sailing with the name Peace Boat, like you said, it's the only ship traveling with the name Peace Boat. So it's a really important message just in itself.
Yeah.
And Yoshioka, not only the ship itself, but the programs and the ports of call are very important to Peace Boat's work for peace and sustainability. So you have study programs and exposure programs, looking at the real history of every country that we visit, meeting with local partners, and hearing the first-hand testimonies of the people who live there. And I think a lot of that has to come with, learning about peace and conflict resolution. So we have a few examples here also of some of the advocacy campaigns and programs that Peace Boat has, such as this one. Tell us a little bit about this photo. It's a pretty dramatic photo. It has a lot of history.
Yeah, actually the early 90s, that the terrible war happened in the former Yugoslavia. And that is the former Yugoslavia is one of the destination. Dubrovnik is a very famous that cruise port and historically and also touristic area. But it was a so terrible war happened there. And I was there during the war several times, and I was so shocked about that. And also that's what's going on in the former Yugoslavia is a quite dirty and terrible, the killing each other situation ongoing. Yeah, maybe you remember that the ethnic cleansing is a quite the famous the word, terrible word. So, and I'm really felt that we really have to visit there and to meet with the people and why such kind of the terrible war happened after Cold War, and through the dialogue, really we have to understand that how we can support them to stop the war, and at the same time how to support the people, local people there, and also how to not repeat such kind of war in anywhere else in the world. So I think that I really feel that there is a lot of important the information and also experience there to prevent the war, to achieve the peace. So I think that is, and this photo is that we organize the tour, the study tour from the ship to visit that the conflict area. And we visit such kind of the destructive, places, and but at the same time that we met with the wives who lost the son or daughter or the husband. I'm through my experience, I think that's make me change a lot. The what's real war is what's happened. I think that for me, for myself, the huge impact as a peace education.
Sure. And that firsthand experience being in those countries after the conflict is really important. And Peace Boat has always been, working towards a peaceful world. And on this photo, you can see the huge banner that was hanging off the side of the ship for an advocacy campaign against the Iraq War, calling for peace. Where was this? Was this in Yokohama?
Yeah. This is in Yokohama, I think. That when the ship came back, we put this banner. But this banner is where we put the many ports in the world. So you know that the passenger ship has a kind of the impact. That's okay. The people is really start to be excited. The Queen Elizabeth II is coming to our city, or and the media is coming. And the Peace Boat is using about that opportunity, or impact of the passenger ship, the visit to the country is with a message. And this time is one of the very symbolic action. Like a passenger ship is coming and the 1,000 people on board, but that ship is put the banner to against the Iraqi war. And I think that's a very symbolic message, advocacy message. We could do that. So, and also at that time is we invited several young people from the Iraq or the Arab countries and to learn about what's going on board.
That's great. And the ship is really such a good vehicle for advocacy, like you said. The excitement when it comes to port, the partners that are waiting, and the participants that are on board getting involved in advocacy in that kind of fun and creative way that Peace Boat always has a possibility to bring, which is really important to find a positive way, which also brings me to our next campaign, which is about not just, working on kind of looking at peace and conflict and saying no war in Iraq, but also looking at what's the positive side and looking at the Article 9 campaign, where we had such a huge turnout, more than 30,000 people participating in a conference for peace, for sustainability, and for supporting Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution, which is the Peace Constitution. So tell us about this idea. You really led this project so much. The conference was such a success, but it took months of preparation and many organizations getting involved to make it that way. So tell us a bit more about Article 9.
Yeah, I think that's quite a lot of people, of course, thinking that the military power is necessary. But I think that is at least Japan kept more than 70 years that is let's say, 70 years, that we are keeping that the peace constitution. Unfortunately, we have the military power also, but that at least that the constitution itself is clearly saying that is we renounce the war and the military power. So I think that is now that we really, okay, now we are facing the COVID. The enemy is a COVID, right? So, and what is necessary is we have to be together, not to spend the money for the military power, that we have to spend the money for how to achieve this COVID situation and how to collaborate to overcome this situation, right? That is the clear situation now in the world. So, and I think Article 9, also the Japanese constitution, also the symbolic constitution, they indicate that we need to spend the money and resource the non-military things and make people happy. This is the message of this constitution. And so for really real peace, that we really need reduce military expenditure, and also that's we really have to spend the resource for the sustainable development of the world. We have to do a lot of things that that is clear. SDGs, they're saying that.
Absolutely. I think the phrase that I remember the most from this Article 9 campaign was disarmament for development. And that's really, when we talk about all the money, especially here in the United States, we have such a high military spending. And if we could just use that funding to go into schools for education or healthcare, it would really make a big difference, especially now during this global pandemic. So
exactly. That how many people dying by COVID, the lack of the medical care, the expenditure, right? Mm-hmm. So it is obvious that now is not the time to spend the money for the military power or the weapons. That we have to spend the money for the medical care and for really the real the human security issue.
Absolutely. And, Peace Boat has been such a leader in human security and disarmament. I was so impressed my first time on board when I got to meet Hibakusha, survivors from the atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Thank you.
Which is also the 75th anniversary coming up, this coming week.
Sure.
And I think that, Peace Boat has been also a vehicle for bringing those testimonies. I think on the first voyage in 2008, there were 103 survivors from Hiroshima and Nagasaki that came on board to share their testimonies on, so many different programs and levels, whether it was civil society or with the United Nations. And then in 2017, we were part of, ICANN receiving the Nobel Peace Prize, which is very exciting. So I can see here you're speaking alongside some of the Hibakusha. Tell us about, the project and how you see Peace Boat's role with ICANN.
Yeah, this is also related with the methodology of the peace education of the Peace Boat. Basically that is already I mentioned. We will visit the conflict zone or to invite the people on board the lecture and so on, right? To learn about that what is a problem in the war, what is a problem in the region or in the conflict zone, so on and so on. So this methodology is also we can utilize other way that we can bring the testimony to the world, and this testimony these people can explain their experience to them, and not only Hibakusha. I think we invited a lot the Israeli and the Palestinian youth, and from the war victim, from Iraq, or from the Australian Aborigine people, and so on. That's many kind of the people we invited. But one of the very symbolic one is this Hibakusha, the project. And we more than the 200 people that we invited from Hiroshima, Nagasaki. And as you know, the time is running, and already they don't have enough time to tell their real experience. Real experience under the atomic bomb explosion is not much time. So that's why we have decided 10 years ago that we invite the Hiroshima, Nagasaki, the testimonies on board, and the visit the worldwide through the world our global voyage. And we organize event in each port of call to inform about their experience to the local people, but also the high-level political people. So, and I think that is a unfortunately, still, the nuclear weapon is a huge number of the nuclear weapon exists in the world. Crazy situation. However, that's the ICANN got the Nobel Peace Prize, and at least we are now the tower to the ban nuclear weapon. So I think that is one of the very symbolic contribution by Peace Boat to the peace, but at the same time this is evidence of how we can utilize this type of the international network to achieve the real peace in the world.
Absolutely. And I think on our next photo, we have a photo of the Nobel Peace Prize, which is now sailing on board the ship with us or being used in campaigns for advocacy. It's been so exciting to also see the Hibakusha to be able to receive the Nobel Peace Prize as part of the campaign when Setsuko Thurlow, who's from Hiroshima, joined ICANN at the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. I think nobody would have thought maybe that would be possible during this short time. Many years of working together, but at least in their lifetime was able to have that step forward. It's really important to be recognized.
And also I would like to really appeal about that really, as you mentioned, this is a 75 years anniversary. It's very important year and a week. So, and I really hope that in many ways, I really would like to ask you that all of you that try to participate or take action about that toward the nuclear weapon, abolition of the nuclear weapon.
Yes, and I think also joining together in this next photo, we also have, the banner of working towards a nuclear-free world and nuclear abolition.
In Norway.
Yes, it takes everybody. If you think about all the people who have been working towards this campaign, I think ICANN, which is the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons, ICANN was really the first recipient of the Nobel Peace Prize that was made up of more than 400 organizations around the world, right? So it was really, I feel like a civil society people's prize for the Nobel Peace Prize that year.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we have also the Nobel Peace Medal, and the Peace Boat is carrying that to all over the world and to introducing that. And it is the first time, I think, that in the history that organization, the civil organization is bringing Nobel Peace Medal to the world.
I think so, especially by ship.
By ship, yeah.
And we have the ICANN logo painted on the side of the ship as part of the campaign to raise awareness. Every time the ship docks in port, you can see ICANN. And we also have the wheel of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals logo painted on the ship, just like the one that's behind you.
Yeah, that's our big proud. Huh? This one is a...
Yes, and that was in partnership with the SDG Action Campaign of the United Nations, right? So I think the SDGs, has really become the heart of Peace Boat's work because it works, to have 17 goals that work together in partnership, which is similar to what Peace Boat does, working on each of the goals in order to promote peace. What do you think about the SDGs and Peace Boat's role in bringing that message to the world?
Yeah, I think that I'm really, when I heard about that launch of the SDGs, I really felt that's it. Because that is exactly this 37 years we are committed, this nearly all 17 the goals. Because the problem in the world is not the single issue. This is a very multi-issue, including. And we have to approach to resolve this issue is holistically. That is my strong opinion through that Peace Boat experience. So that's why Peace Boat is including a lot of, the elements of the issues in the world. So, and the people can join the Peace Boat or Peace Boat movement as they like. That if you have the strong interest about that agenda issue, you can. And of course, and Black Lives Matters, and the ethnic issue and discrimination, if you have such kind of issue, you can join from that point of view. So, and of course, in the peace and then nuclear disarmament, also that's one of the issue, and like that. So I think that is a Peace Boat approach to resolve the problem in the world is a holistic. So that's why this is a very good synergy effect with a SDGs campaign. So that's why we are very happy only when the ship carrying this SDGs logo to the world.
Yes, and Peace Boat, has also a special relationship with the United Nations. As an international NGO, we have ECOSOC status, which is the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. So as we're sailing as a flagship for the SDGs, working on sustainable development, we're also organizing events in collaboration with the UN. I know this photo is from when we were in New York City.
Yeah, very nice photo.
Festival for Sustainability.
Yeah. Thank you for all of them, and especially the Kola Wise, that she's the president of the Hague Peace Appeal 1999. She organized a great peace action event. So, and we are working together in the peace boat activities. But I think that's there is a kind of the message. This is the peace boat itself is floating the venue and the sustainable development, I think, or sustainability. Yeah.
Yes, it's been really inspiring since having all of these events on the ship in New York with United Nations partners coming from the UN headquarters onto the ship and exchange with civil society. I've seen so many partnerships that have been built on the Peace Boat.
And Mary, that's also an interesting point. Is a peace boat is docking is the next of the Intrepid.
Yes.
So it is a very symbolic, contrast, right? So, and we have to choose war or peace.
Absolutely. Well, I think in that situation, our ship was a lot more lively and excited to have so many people on board. It was definitely a good example of how to use a ship for peace and sustainability.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then besides our programs with the UN, we've also been doing more on the SDGs, focused on SDG 13 for climate action, 14 for life below water, looking at our Ocean and Climate Youth Ambassador program, which brings young people from small island developing states who are really on the front lines of climate change and working for oceans. And these are such inspiring young people who joined this program. We've had more than 3 editions with various youth from around the world, a lot from the Pacific and many island nations who have traveled on board from Europe over to New York, sharing their testimonies and also speaking at the UN and sharing the voice of youth. So tell us a little bit about this project. I know it's one of the highlights for you right now for our youth education programs.
Yeah. Okay. The youth education program through the Peace Boat is really one of the core and essential of the activity. That is starting from the quite the focus of peace issue. Like we invited since 20 years ago, that the Palestinian youth and the Arab youth and together on board and start dialogue like that. So this program, this youth program is expanding, and we invited also that each formerly of 7 countries that we invited on board, and we continue the dialogue and so on. But now we really now necessary to make a togetherness or solidarity of the people is really suffering by the climate change. Also that's maybe that we can organize that near future that the victim of the COVID or the people is really working to overcome this COVID situation. Maybe they can be together and they can start to discuss about how to resolve about that. So of course, and we can use the ship and at the same time internet and online. But essential part of this program of the Ocean Youth is when the young people can be together and experience together, and that make a huge power through the solidarity. And I think that I really believe that's the offline networking make a power to change the world.
I think so too, and I've really been inspired by the young people who joined Peace Boat, whether it's the Ocean and Climate Youth Ambassadors or the Youth for the SDGs Scholars. Young people who come on board, they're exchanging best practices and they're sharing their challenges and solutions. And that's really the networking that you mean. It really builds a community of young people who want to make a change around the world.
Yeah, and for unforgettable, the friendship.
Yes, absolutely.
Is coming, the bond. That's a very important fact.
Yes, I think the first time you ever go on Peace Boat, no matter who you're with, that is your most memorable experience, I think, of that kind of community. So it's great. And Speaking of also the next generations, I have another photo here of climate action, not only on the ship, but also with community in Japan and also some of your family in this photo. So I know you're going to be passing on the climate baton to the next generation. Tell us about this. This is the March for the Climate, no, in Tokyo?
Oh yeah, in Tokyo the last year I think. So and yeah, that's a gradually that in the Japan also that's the really the starting about that climate the action, and but I think that is the we really need a networking, and also that is a the through the family, through the friends, and through the neighborhood, and beyond the border is a that is a the very the essential the step of the movement is expanding, I think. And I think now the many elements the connecting to the beyond the border. So we have the problem of the racism, and we have the COVID, of course. So and peace and sustainability, climate change, and ocean problem. So we can really would like to contribute to how to make a people together.
Yes, I think, one of Peace Boat's core elements right now and issues is climate action. And I
Yeah.
think also we realize that in order to achieve a more sustainable world, we also want to have a more sustainable cruise ship, right? We want to really
Yeah.
embody the SDGs and create something that's going to make a positive impact on our environment and our ocean.
Yes. Yeah.
And so next, I want you to tell us a little bit about the future of Peace Boat and what you're looking at, not only the current, stage of Peace Boat's growth now, but if we could have the most eco-friendly cruise ship, we would have this eco ship. Tell us about that and how it's going to be supporting all of our goals for the SDGs.
Oh yeah, that's I think that of course now is a little bit difficult time because of the COVID, and the cruise ship is quite notorious. And but on the other hand, I think that is a huge even that's the ship itself. It has a potential as a venue, or the people can be together. I think that the online and offline the how to say collaboration it will create the quite a lot of the potential to make a power to change the world. So and but unfortunately, that a lot of the ship is still that the consuming that the fossil fuel. So an eco ship, this is our really serious dream, and we are really working hard to build this ship now. And but this is the full of the natural, the sustainable power, like a solar sail, the solar power and wind power they're using to the propulsion, and also that the recycling water system, and as much as possible the reduce of the energy consumption, and also the full of the equipment to people can connect each other easily on board. And of course, now we have to think about that, how to protect the people from the virus on board. So I think that this eco ship is I really proud of that. And also I think that create a future, the people's offline network. And we are working for that seriously.
Yes, I'm so excited to be part of this project. And EcoShip is just an amazing, idealistic, and great design for a real future that's more sustainable. And I just hope if we can create one example of how we can have a more sustainable cruise ship, we can really influence the entire maritime industry and make a big difference for the ocean. So thank you for helping us to push this forward. It's such a great
project. I think that the Elon Musk is started that the Tesla is everybody they feel that is impossible. But why not? That is the pure the sustainable energy ship also possible. So eco ship is a Tesla on ocean, in ocean.
Yes, it is going to be the Tesla of the oceans. Yoshioka, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really inspiring to hear about Peace Boat's history and some history that I didn't even hear from you before, learning about the ship back in 1983. So thank you so much. And we also have our guest with us today, Ann Wright, who's going to be joining us. She was at our Article 9 campaign together and also working as a peace activist. And then we'll kind of bring everybody back together for the end for some closing words.
Well, thank you very much, Emily and Yoshioka. It's great to see you again after years. Thank you. Well, it's a thrill to be here with the global campaign to support the Peace Boat, because I certainly do support the Peace Boat, and this crowdfunding campaign to raise $1 million in the next months is really important for peace throughout the world. As you mentioned, to have a boat that has the word peace on it is really astounding. And if we could have the first slide for me. This first one is of the Peace Boat as it is in Hawaii. I was so thrilled to be asked to be a guest lecturer on the Peace Boat last year, and I was able to join it in the place where I live, which is in Honolulu, Hawaii, and to be with it on a 20-day trip. And the reason I was asked to be on it was that my background, I used to be in the US military. That's not a lot for peace, is it? I was a US diplomat, and that's not a lot for peace. But then I resigned in 2003 in opposition to the war on Iraq. And I really did appreciate seeing the Peace Boat with the sign, "No War on Iraq," which you put up there in 2003. I quit the US government because of that war. And since then, I've been speaking about issues challenging my own government and other governments on their war behavior. And so that was one of the reasons I was asked to be a guest lecturer on this trip. And let's go, well, before we go, I love how big the sign Peace Boat is. And you can tell with my little head there and then big Peace Boat. I was also on the boat another time when a trip to Northeast Asia that we'll talk about a little bit later. But on that trip, we went into Taiwan, and the Peace Boat was placed on a dock that was, well, we were placed there. And the next morning when we woke up, there was a little warship, a Taiwan warship that came in and docked behind us that was so tiny. It was so small, and to have the Peace Boat so big standing there in front of it was really super, really super.
I love that, Ann. That's such a great story and beginning to your work. I'm so happy to have you joining us today. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you very much. And, you know, one of the reasons I like being on the Peace Boat is not only to be able to explain my background, but also to see what the Peace Boat does in order to bring people who are on this long voyage of 3 months to bring the culture of the various places that you're going to. And this picture is of many, many people on the Peace Boat who had been taking hula lessons in the 10-day trip between Japan and Honolulu, where I finally got on. And so as we left Honolulu, lo and behold, here was this wonderful, wonderful opportunity for everyone that had been learning the hula to be on the stern of the ship and having wonderful Hawaiian music as we left Honolulu and headed over for the Big Island. So that was great fun. And every place that we went, there were the cultural activities of the place we were going to, which is so valuable for people who are going around this world to learn much more about the culture of the places that they're going to, as well as the social issues of the country. And to be there to see people from the boat going off on day excursions to various places was really, really important. And one of those places, let's go to the next one, was Mexico. That was our next voyage, our next place that we stopped after Hawaii. Then the next one was in Guatemala. And then the next one was in Panama. And being able to go through the Panama Canal on this giant ship was quite remarkable. I myself had been in the military in Panama, assigned in Panama, back in the 1980s. And it leads me to describe one of the lectures that I gave while I was on the Peace Boat. It was the U.S. militarization in Central and South America, and going back into the days when the U.S. tragically supported the wars of Central America. On the earlier part of the voyage between Hawaii and Mexico, I had done a presentation on U.S. militarization of Asia and the Pacific. And since I do live in Hawaii, you know, the Hawaiian Islands are one of the most militarized islands in the world. And to be able to describe what the U.S. is doing in the other reaches of Asia and the Pacific, I hope was very informative to the people that were on the boat. And here is a picture of the large auditorium that's on the Peace Boat, that upwards to 500 people can sit and be there to listen to your presentation. What was really amazing to me was, you know, we had such a variety of people that were on board, primarily Japanese citizens, but on that particular cruise, there were a lot of Chinese citizens. So there were the lectures that you were giving were being translated into Japanese, Chinese, and then we did have contingents of people that were from Spanish-speaking countries, and so there were other parts of it that were being translated into Spanish. And to see the wealth of expertise that the Peace Boat attracts in these young men and women who are gifted in languages and that can be the translators for this variety of guest lecturers that come on board. There's probably 10 to 12 guest lecturers for every segment of the trip, and it makes it such a rich experience. In fact, I tried to go to as many things as I could, and I was exhausted. It was wonderful. There were just things that were going on all the time, and it's just a wonderful experience, and that's why I want to support the Peace Boat. And in this difficult financing time, where, you know, as Yoshioka has said, you know, we're trying to raise money to keep the Peace Boat afloat, so that we can keep people on the staff, so that we can be ready to go as soon as the COVID pandemic lessens itself, so that people can enjoy this remarkable experience around the world. And I would make an appeal to people from the United States that might be listening to this right now, that there weren't many U.S. citizens on board the boat when I was there. And we're missing a really good opportunity as U.S. citizens to avail ourselves of a trip, parts of trip around the world, and to be a part of this wonderful, wonderful experience. I think I wanted to go on to one other voyage that I'd been on, which was several years ago, and it was a voyage in Northeast Asia. There were 500 Koreans that were on board the boat and 500 Japanese, and I'd been asked to again give talks about U.S. militarization of Asia and the Pacific. And I mentioned that one of the stops that we did was in Taiwan, but another one was going into Shanghai. And then from Shanghai, and this is a picture of us having taken the bullet train from Shanghai to the city of Nanjing. And people will remember the massacre of Nanjing, where prior to World War II, Japanese forces had gone in and the rape of Nanjing. And it was to the real credit of the Peace Boat to bring a large delegation of Japanese citizens to come to the museum of the rape of Nanjing, the massacre of Nanjing, and to be there as we had, and this picture is taken in the auditorium of the museum of the massacre of Nanjing. And it was to bring together two women, both who had been sex slaves, comfort women, during the 1930s and 40s. This one woman from China, and she's the gray-haired lady in the photograph there in the Shanghai Daily that covered this remarkable meeting of two comfort women from two different countries who had both been brutalized by military back in the 1930s. And to the credit of the Peace Boat to bring this large delegation of Japanese citizens who acknowledge what happened and that are working hard as you all are through Article 9 to try to prevent the militarization of the military, or the militarization of, rather than having Article 9, which is a peace article of the Constitution of the Japanese government, and saying no more war, to try to push back against the large effort by not only the Japanese government, by the US government, of trying to get the Japanese to use its military in an offensive way. So these are the types of things that one is able to be exposed to when you're on the peace boat. It is a boat trip. It is a floating university, really, and attracting youth in from so many countries to do the programming that you all have on the UN Sustainable Goals and other aspects of an opportunity, a unique, remarkable opportunity, a once in a lifetime, really, opportunity for students to be on board the boat. And that's why we do need to have this global campaign to support the Peace Boat, so that we can get students on board, and for the older generation like myself, to be able to go on that boat for a once in a lifetime experience where you learn so much and meet so many wonderful people and see so many remarkable parts of the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne, so much. It's really inspiring to hear about your experiences on the Peace Boat, because obviously each and every voyage you visit different countries and you're learning about these different global issues. But I think, restorative justice and conflict resolution and bringing up the truth, like you mentioned, between the Japanese or Korean and Chinese history is one of the reasons why Peace Boat began in the first place. So I think that was a really unique experience for you and Yoshioka to be together on that trip, and to have you there also speaking about, disarmament and education for peace. And I think that's just so insightful for you to be able to share that with us, and also for you to come on board as a guest speaker. I hope we can sail together very soon again in the future.
Thank you.
And go to Hawaii, which would be great.
Aloha, please come.
Yes. So I'm always thinking, all of our guest speakers who are around the world who have been on Peace Boat, they must have so many exciting stories to share, just like yours. And I think we'll have to, continue to have these online programs. We're going to be organizing more events in the future with different guests, and maybe making it a around the world on Peace Boat online campaign, so people can experience a little bit of Peace Boat, even getting to know you and hearing your stories. I think it's so valuable for everyone to be able to interact with our guest speakers, whether it's online or on board the ship.
Thank you.
Thank you. And that brings us to actually our next event that we're organizing soon. We've been talking about the history of Peace Boat today, past to present, and our next stop and the next port of call is going to be in the Middle East on Friday, August 8th, together with one of our longtime Peace Boat partners and organizer, who was originally an international student named Rami Nasser from Palestine, who then went on to create his own NGO, Palestine Vision. And also the moderator will be Jasna Bastic, who is from the International Division of Peace Boat, working in Europe and based out of Zurich, and organizing a lot of our international students' programs around conflict resolution. So this is going to be our next event, and we'll be organizing these weekly events to share the stories of Peace Boat, to help everyone learn a little bit more about what the organization does, how we operate, what kind of programs we have on board, and also why this campaign is so important for us, especially right now during this global pandemic, as Peace Boat is hoping to sail again soon and wants to keep our global network of peace builders active. I would like to also mention that we have a message from Jasna Bastic. She is in Europe, as I mentioned, so she sent us a short video, which we will play for you all so you can hear a little bit from her personally.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jasna Bastic. I am a Peace Boat staff member in Europe, working on peace education and international students program. I am pleased and excited, thrilled, and very inspired to invite you to join Peace Boat in around the world series of conversations with our regional hosts, who have been passionately contributing to Peace Boat programs through all these years, with activists, experts, former staff members, and participants in various programs which took place on board Peace Boat in the last 37 years. Every week in August, we will bring you to another continent, to another region of the world, where local hosts will talk about their life-changing experience with Peace Boat activism, and about current situations in their regions. Join us on this virtual journey around the world, where you will meet amazing people who will tell you their extraordinary personal stories and achievements in work for sustainable peace regionally and globally. Our first port will be in the Middle East on Friday, the 7th of August, with our main host, Rami Nasser from Palestine, who participated in the very first Peace Boat International Students Program from conflict areas in 2001. Then we will continue to travel to Europe, Latin America, and Asia Pacific. Join us on this extraordinary journey around the world. Let's travel together and meet our local hosts. Let's be on board together for a more peaceful and safer world. Please support Peace Boat and its global crowdfunding campaign in any way you can. Thank you, and see you next Friday in our first port in the Middle East. All information about the next regions we will visit, you will find on the Peace Boat website and in social media. Join us on this No Frontiers journey around the world to support Peace Boat. Thank you again.
Oh, it's so great to hear from Jasna. She's been such a long time partner and part of Peace Boat as a international staff member as well. So it's really great to have her coordinating these programs together with us. It's totally a global campaign, bringing in Europe, Tokyo, the United States, and soon we'll be also going to Latin America. So very excited to see all of the events that are coming up. And we hope that everybody will be able to join us online. And with that, I'd like to bring back also Yoshioka, maybe for just one closing comment with Ann and Yoshioka together. This is going to be the launch. Today was the first day of our Support Peace Boat global campaign, where we're continuing to work together in fundraising for this next really stage of the organization, which is going to need a lot of support. I think over the years, Peace Boat has always been very self-sustainable and always been able to organize our voyages and rely on ourselves as kind of being able to support all of the campaigns around the world. And now it's time for us to put a call out to our friends and partners for them to help us also to maintain these voyages. So Yoshioka, would you like to give some closing words as we're wrapping up for today?
Oh yeah, but anyway, thank you all. That this time is quite how to say the memorial day that we will start this campaign. But really, I believe that the Peace Boat can contribute really a lot for the post-COVID the world. I think that we really have to make the strong friendship and solidarity, and how to really achieve that the sustainable world. I think we are facing a lot of the serious crises, and including COVID. So and including a war, nuclear war, and I think that's we have to cooperate each other, but we need a tool to promote about the friendship and solidarity, for peace and sustainable in the world. So I'm so happy with the Ann to work together and to sail together and the act together. Thank you.
Thank you, Yoshioka. And Ann, you also have some closing words for us?
Oh, well, I'm looking forward to it too. And let's all contribute to the global campaign to keep Peace Boat afloat.
Thank you so much. It's really been an inspiring evening here in New York, or morning there in Tokyo. And I just want to say to everyone who's watching today, the way that we're going to be using the funds with Peace Boat and the Supporting Peace Boat campaign is not only for Peace Boat to be able to maintain our programs, but really to continue the partnerships that we have with all of the local communities that we work with. When we talk about sustainable development, we always have to think about the people first and the planet. And so many partners of ours who normally we're visiting every 3 months, in order to keep us all moving in the right direction towards peace and sustainability, it's time to come together as a global community and support each other. So thank you so much for everyone who's watching today, and for those of you who have donated, and thank you for those who will be supporting this coming week. We have such a big campaign coming up, so stay tuned. Keep watching us here on the Support Peace Boat Global Crowdfunding Campaign. And thank you to all of our partners and friends for supporting us during this time. We look forward to sailing with all of you once again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.